Good afternoon and welcome to How's Your ePresence? This show is produced by ePresence and I am Mark Galvin, your host. We are so glad that you are here today, here in this crisp January Friday afternoon. We don't typically do shows on Friday. For those of you that are subscribed, you probably saw the notification. I thought, they don't do shows on Friday. Well, today we do, and it's because we have a great guest that's coming on today. We did a little shuffling to make sure we could get him on the calendar. So thanks for being here. You probably already know this. We're going to shorten a little bit of this. You know that we have a YouTube channel. Go check out our library of shows and subscribe while you're there. If you're a podcast listener, jump in and add us to your podcast app so you get all of our new shows. If you have a question that you would like to throw at our guest, just go ahead right into your little chat box wherever you are, whatever platform you're on, throw in that question and we'll be sure to serve it up to our guest. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the marketing hub and spoke strategy and how do you employ it? What does that mean? Well, if you don't know, stick around. We're going to share that with you. So our guest today is a returning guest. He is James Hipkin with Red8 Interactive. He's actually got another organization that is probably the one we should focus on, and that is Innately, INN, the number 8, LY. He is an absolutely amazing marketer with incredible background. He has worked with huge clients and is an expert on websites and online marketing. You're going to see today that he has an uncanny ability to make stuff that doesn't make sense. Well, just makes sense. He's able to dumb it down for those of us that are pedestrians so that we can understand those things a little better. One of the things he likes to do is he can work with larger organizations to help them make their marketing work. And I've talked to a lot of people who say, you know what, digital marketing just doesn't work anymore. Well, that's not true. It's only true if you're not doing it right. So remember, ask a question from wherever you are. We would be happy to serve that up to our guest, but let's find James. James, are you out there?
I am.
How are you, sir?
I am fine. I am so looking forward to this conversation.
Well, fantastic. I am too. I'm actually, I got to bring this up. You said right before the show, there's a date coming up in February. That's kind of a cool date. What is that date?
Well, it's Tuesday, February 22nd. So you've got a whole series of twos there going on because it's 2/22/22.
Unbelievable.
Tuesday.
You know, the only day that'll be better than February 22nd of 22 will be February 22nd of the year 2222. Just saying.
Yeah, but I have a feeling you and I won't be around to enjoy that.
I don't think that medicine has advanced enough to make sure we're going to be around for that date, right?
Oh, absolutely. Now, I am still 49, so I mean, there are some things working for us.
That's right. That's right. We can lock you into place. That'll be great. Well, thanks for coming back. We had you on the show before, and when you were here, we had some great information that you shared about websites and some of the other. I think we got into landing pages and the like. And folks, if you didn't see that show, go back and look up James. You'll see him in our YouTube feed as well as all the other places because we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. You can find him there. But at the end of the last show, and maybe it wasn't literally at the end, it was probably in our post-show conversation, we started talking about the hub and spoke strategy. And I think it's such a great analogy. I wanted to bring you back to really drill into it because I see it as a great guide for businesses and ways that they can leverage and understand kind of how do they look at their entire marketing package. So we wanted to bring you back and talk about that. So let's start off right at the top. What is the hub and spoke strategy?
The hub and spoke strategy is an implementation strategy that helps bring some clarity and some discipline to the execution of digital and online marketing, any marketing really, but
Yeah.
today we're focusing on digital and online marketing. And the concept is pretty simple. The individual elements, individual things that you might be doing, if they're not connected, it's just expensive noise. And
Huh.
the hub and spoke strategy is a metaphor for to get you to think about how you want to connect these things together. So imagine that the hub is the website,
Okay.
and the spokes are the various digital channels and tactics that you're using to deliver information out to your customers and draw your customers back into the website.
Okay.
And then the rim is the content or messaging strategy that you've set in place. And that's what holds it all together. The individual pieces are nice, but they don't have nearly as much value as the pieces connected together. The power comes from the connection, not the individual pieces. And it really helps bring some sanity to what you're doing, and helps you understand what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. I mean, it is an implementation strategy. So
Right.
it is kind of the second step. The first step
Huh.
is, who is your best customer, and building
Mm.
a best customer avatar. I think we may have talked about this before.
Right.
And then, what is
You
their
and I definitely did. I'm not sure if it came up actually in the show, but
uh,
yes.
okay. Um, yeah, so the building a customer avatar is so important. I see this often. Folks will have they may have a marketing plan, which may be good, maybe great, maybe okay, um, but they don't have that overriding strategy, and that starts with understanding your best customer and building that best customer avatar, and then
Good.
understanding your customer journey and drawing, because you need to draw that customer in and build trust. So the traditional funnels, traffic into the top, the mid funnel is about building trust, and then the bottom of the funnel is about value. And that's where the hub and spoke strategy connects together with this larger idea, because what are the tactics that you're going to use to draw people in, to manage the mid funnel, et cetera, and how do you bring these things together with some commonality? And that's where the rim gets involved, which is your messaging strategy, and getting the right message to the right person at the right time.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple idea, but it really does bring some sanity to digital marketing, and it honestly lets you eliminate a bunch of things, because you can look at something and go, well, that doesn't fit in. So out it
Right.
goes.
And that's that clarity piece you're talking about,
Mhm.
that it helps you see with some clarity whether something fits or not. I'd kind of like to go back a bit here and drill into something that I think is interesting, and maybe see if you can give us an example of this.
Sure.
But, you talk about the website is your hub. So the
Yes.
first thing is, why is the website your hub? And I think that may be obvious, but for some it may not be. Maybe I feel like my physical storefront is
Mhm.
my hub. So why is it that you say that the website is actually the hub?
Historically, the storefront probably was the hub.
Right.
But in this digital age, even if you have a brick and mortar presence, customers are still checking things out online before they're
Okay.
getting to you. The online environment is where you have an opportunity to build a relationship with your customer. Email marketing is an excellent tool for this. But if you're going to be creating email marketing, and here's a good example of the hub and spoke, you're generating content on the website. You're using your content strategy to determine what that content is. You're using email marketing to deliver that content out to your customers. And then the customers are clicking on links to come back into the website in order to, you know, get the rest of the content. You're not giving it all to them in an email. You're giving them the invitation, and then they're linking through. This helps create value that goes beyond the transactional benefits of your product and service. You can't do that with a retail situation.
Right.
In fact, in this model, your retail store is one of your spokes. You should be
Isn't that
using the
interesting?
retail store as an opportunity to invite customers to go to the website and register for the email, the in and out that we were just describing, to create that oscillation between the customers and the brand. And the website is there 24/7. It's never
Mhm.
closed.
That's
Um,
interesting. And it is a way, it is the just simply looking at it and understanding that the website is something, you know, that I'm right there with you, that the
right.
website is the hub. But hearing you describe it that way, I think is really important for a lot of our listeners because they may be thinking, I never looked at the website, you know, and you and I both know this. We've talked to a lot of
Mhm,
entrepreneurs that have a good business, and their comment is, yeah, you know, I got a website, but it's whatever. I just did it. I didn't care. I
mhm.
did it myself, which is nothing wrong with that, but they've lost the opportunity to generate revenue. And quite frankly, and you've had this, I'm sure you've heard this before, there are some businesses that say their website's not generating any revenue for them. If someone were to say that and speaking to the hub and the spokes, do you immediately say, okay, what are the spokes that are leading into that website to drive revenue? And if you're not getting revenue, one of those spokes is broken.
Well, that's part of it.
Yep.
Organic social media, the drawing people back into the website. But I challenge you on the statement that you're not getting revenue from the website, and I would challenge
Oh,
a client on the statement, because what they're not seeing is what I call the null set, and
say that
particularly in
again.
professional
I didn't.
the null set.
The null set. Yep.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
in professional services, this is particularly important. Executive A tells executive B about this great accounting firm that he knows of. Executive B goes, I could probably use a change there. Goes to that accounting firm's website, sees something that was built in, looks like it was built in the early 2000s. And, hard to navigate, hard to understand what it is they do and how they solve problems. It's just poorly done. And they
Right.
don't call.
Right. And you'll never know,
And
right?
you will never know. You will
It's one
never
of
know
those
how much
things.
revenue you've lost, because the reality in today's world is people are online. And if the pandemic has done anything, it has accelerated that.
Mm.
If you
So
look at Go
in
ahead.
the traditional model, and there's so much here, and I love this, right? I'm
Right.
trying to, you know, like, wait a minute. So back in the day,
Mhm.
where there were no websites, or websites were so new, there were not billions of people with an internet connection
And
or a
also
phone for
back
that
in
matter,
that day,
right?
you could build it and they would come.
Right. Well, you also didn't necessarily know if somebody bought from you where that advertising was working. So you could still have a null set, but that
Mhm.
null set were the people that well, gosh, I don't think there was one, was there? Right? There was no way to, if I saw an advertisement that was advertising a local coffee shop, like, I think I'll go check that out. So I'd walk in and check out the coffee shop. I
Right.
physically would go see it, but I couldn't
Right.
check them out on a website.
Right.
So that's new.
Right. Well, it's relatively new, and people have been trained to check
Hmm.
things out online first. And even
I
if
love
it's
this.
as simple as, if you're using the coffee shop idea, brew pubs are very similar for this. A well-designed website for a brew pub. What do you think is the most important thing? It's the address. Get the
Okay, wait a minute.
address right there, because that's what people go online for. Where is this place exactly?
Right, right. What's a brew pub? I think I do, but what is that?
That's where they make beer on premise, and
Okay.
they
All right.
sell it. We have a
W-
number of customers who that's what they do.
We have a if for some reason where we are, we call that a microbrewery, right?
Right.
And and that can be misconstrued because there's microbreweries that produce great stuff that you never go see it. But there's all these in Atlanta, there's all these places you walk up, they brew their own beer
Yep.
and you consume it on the premises. A brew pub. I actually I like that more, frankly. I should change that. Well, I think this is really interesting. And one of the things you said is that people have been trained to go online first. And so you just don't know
Right.
if you're losing client that way. All right. So this is interesting. So you have the hub, which is
Right.
your website, and you've got the spokes. What are the most important spokes?
Wow.
Maybe it's probably harder to answer, but it's unique for everybody. But anyway, tell me, what do you think the most important spokes are?
Well, that comes back to what we were saying talking about right at the very beginning, and that's
Yep.
having the bigger strategy, understanding who your best customers are, and by implication, who your best prospects are. And part of
Okay.
that is, where are they? It doesn't matter whether you or I like or dislike Facebook. It
Right.
only
Right.
matters whether your customers like or dislike Facebook.
Go where they are.
Go where they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
That
that's
sounds like
where,
such a basic, but we
well,
miss that.
yeah. But I hear another thing I hear, it's an extension on what you were asking about before, Mark. And that's, well, I don't need a website. I have a Facebook page,
Right. Oh,
right?
I know businesses that don't even have a website. They
Right.
only have a Facebook page.
That's right.
It's a little dangerous.
Right. It's very dangerous because you are building your business on rented land.
You said that on the last show, and I love that.
Yep.
And folks, if you're watching this right now and you don't have a website, that is something that you will need to go to bed at night thinking you are on rented land. And by the way, that rented land technically is rented by somebody else on somebody else's land.
Right.
What do I mean? Facebook could, it won't, right? But Facebook could go poof tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
It's their space. They may decide, okay, we're going to close this one up. We're going to focus on Instagram. Now what? Right?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Or they could change their rules. Or, and this is actually happening, 3, 4 years ago, you could get pretty good reach just with organic posts.
Right.
Not anymore. Even the
That's
people who are
exactly right.
following your page, only about 10% of them get served any post that you create organically on your page. Facebook is pushing you to pay them to deliver that content.
And I don't blame them, frankly.
Mhm.
I get that from the revenue model that Facebook has. Hey, it's a free service. It
Mhm.
really is, and it's a pretty outstanding free service. So it's how they're going to generate revenue. That'll certainly drive you crazy. So you have to know who is your customer,
Right,
where are they,
right,
and meet them there.
right, and that goes into the RIM as well, the content strategy.
Mhm.
Because and I used a word earlier that I want to underline: best customer. This isn't about the majority of your customers. This is about the 20% of your customers that are generating 80% of your revenue. And virtually every business has those people.
Right.
And they're not typical. If you just do a survey randomly and you're getting information from customers, that's interesting and valuable. But your best customers tend to be heavy users of the category that you're in. And as heavy users of the category, they're better informed. They understand your offering, they understand your competitors' offerings. They have
Mhm.
different needs than the average customer. So that understanding your best customers and then therefore by implication your best prospect is and understanding it deeply ties into the journey and ties into the messaging, because the kind of words and offers and problems and solutions that you're going to be presenting to your best customers will be subtly different than they would to the average person.
Yeah.
And that's another
So
great way to save money because you're out there, the average person is an average consumer, not because of you or your brand, but because that's their need state. All the advertising
right.
and marketing in the world is not going to change that.
Right. Yeah. So advertising and marketing does not create demand. There has to be demand there that you're tapping into.
Right.
One of my favorite things that we used to say in the hotel business was lowering the rate of a hotel room does not increase demand.
No.
It's one of those, and it's a bit of a mind shift
Mhm.
for folks because they think, okay, if it's cheaper, people will come. Yeah, people have to be there ready to buy. So I really would love to know your opinion about how do I determine who is my best customer? When someone asks you that, what are the steps that you go through in helping somebody figure out this is your best customer?
Well, it depends on your business category. If you're in an e-commerce situation, you can
Yeah.
use an old direct marketing analytics technique called RFM. And
RFM. What does that
that
stand for?
acronym stands for Recency Frequency Monetary.
Hmm.
The
Okay.
idea is the customer who bought from you most recently, who buys from you most frequently, and who spends the most money with you is the customer most likely to buy from you again.
Okay.
And the
Yep.
catalog industry has gotten this perfected. And this is why if you buy something from the LL Bean catalog, free plug for LL Bean, um, what happens next? You get another catalog from LL Bean.
Right.
And
Yep.
so if you've got an e-commerce situation and you're tracking these, then it's a fairly easy exercise to output your transaction history for the last year or 2 years or whatever makes sense, and then start sorting it by and giving scores to the customers who bought from you most frequently, the customers who bought from you most recently, and then the customers who spend the most money. And if you've got those three elements and you give them a score of 1 to 5, your best customers are scoring 15.
Got it. Got it. So, what if you're not in an e-commerce or a a B2C? What if you're a B2B organization? How do you do it then? Is it the same model?
It's the same model. You may not have as readily available and accurate information, but the finance department should be able to give you a customer
Hmm.
list. And in that
Oh
customer
my
list,
goodness.
they can tell you this is the date they bought from us most recently. This is how many times they've bought from us over the past 2 or 3 years, whatever makes sense for your category. And this is
Right.
how much their total aggregate spend has been with us. And then you
Interesting.
put that into a spreadsheet, and pretty quickly
Boom.
you can understand who your best customers. Retail is another situation. I hear this. Retailer, well, I don't have that kind of information. And I said, yes, you do. Ask your sales clerks. They
Who are you
know who
seeing?
they knew
Yeah.
who, yeah, who are you seeing most often? They know who your best customers are. And then you can also use social media. This is the hub and spoke thing again. Who are your raving fans on social media?
Yes.
Where
Yeah.
are they? I mean, this is what you're looking for as is understanding who these best customers are, where they are, and what are the problems that they're trying to solve. And those problems are likely to be, subtly unique compared to the average customer.
Good. I think that this is just absolutely brilliant because um, the information is right under our nose, so to
Mhm.
speak. We just have to go find it and put the right people on it to pull that data, and then create the strategy, the content strategy based on that. So let's jump to the content strategy
Mhm.
because that's hard. And I gave a talk recently and I showed during, and it was a quick 7-minute talk. And so I had one thing to share, and I really talked about LinkedIn. And in LinkedIn Messenger, you can, if you're connected to someone, you can send them a video message right through the LinkedIn messaging app. It's sort of like the
Mhm.
texting version of LinkedIn. For the record, great way to send thank you notes. And so I went through and said, hey, instead of writing a thank you note, send somebody a video message through LinkedIn.
Right.
The response that I got is do you have a template for that thank you note? Do you have a checklist of what I should say?
Mhm.
And so people do, and you have seen this a lot.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Now I'm ready for the content strategy. I've got the hub, I've got the spokes. Gosh, what the heck
Mhm.
how do I develop content? What are those first steps that you encourage someone to look at when they're developing that?
Well, it's the two-way street here. I mean, you want to understand who your best customers are,
Right.
and if this is a better educated, more sophisticated audience, et cetera, then that's going to impact how you present. You also
Okay.
need to understand who your brand is. You don't want to be creating messaging that's dissonant with who you are as a brand.
Right.
So that gets into tonality, etc.
Can
Um,
I give an example of that?
Absolutely.
Which I think this is really interesting. So we have a client who they sell to mechanics and plumbers, um, a very blue collar
Mhm.
group. Communicating with them is not using formal language. Like if I was going to try to communicate to you, James, I would use succinct language. I would
Right.
not use emojis. I'm going to spell out the word you. I'm not going to use the letter U. Well, with this particular demographic, this audience, they really like that communication with emojis and with letters
Mhm.
and slang because they feel more comfortable that way. That's understanding who is it, how does your target audience want to be talked to, and so that's important to develop that in that vein.
Right. And I have a similar example. One of our customers, clients, is Fluid Master. They make toilet parts.
Yep.
If you've repaired your toilet,
Uh-huh.
you've probably used a Fluid Master part.
I
If
got a
you
few of them in my toilets.
There you go.
Yeah,
If you
yep.
go to their website, that website is not going to win any awards for high design. It's
Right.
very straightforward, but their target audience is very straightforward. It's homeowners who are not looking for fancy. They're looking for a solution to a problem that's pretty damned important. And we designed the website with that in mind.
Yep.
They had the budget. They could have, I mean, it's not an inexpensive build because it's a big, complicated site and they've got multiple countries that we're supporting as well. But
Mhm.
if you look at it, this is the design suits the audience and the needs of the audience, and finding things is very easy.
This is so it's one of the things that I'm picking up from you is when you look through this your marketing in this lens, it actually gets easier. Is that
Mhm.
true or am
Yes.
I oversimplifying it?
It helps you make decisions. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I've seen a website that, looks amazing,
Right.
but the design gets in the way of the utility.
Huh. Interesting stuff there.
You know, I I
Okay.
I see this. I mean, when I do the 6-second audit on websites, I run across this all the time. In fact, I'll sometimes pick a website specifically because it's well designed. But then when you
Mhm.
start to take it apart from the point of view of the hub and spoke strategy and how people are interacting and who the audience is and what the audience is looking for, suddenly you keep, well, but I can't find what I need. And
Right.
the design has gotten in the way of the utility. And a hub
Fascinating.
is a functional thing. It
Oh, so
maximizes the
fascinating.
power of the spokes and of the content strategy by virtue of pressure goes into it, pressure goes out of it, and it's a utility.
I think that's amazing. And I love the simplicity of it, and it is it is a good way whether you're doing your marketing on your own
Mhm.
or working with someone else. I mean, here's the deal, James. I know you've seen this. There are some people who have gone to very good web designers, and
Mhm.
those web designers have created a great site for them, but it's not targeting their audience.
Right.
And that's well, not only is it embarrassing, it's a huge waste of money.
Right.
So a business owner should go through this process first before they start hiring a web designer.
Right. And I can't the number of times I have replaced websites for small businesses and the poor owner of the small business, but I spent so much money on this website, and it makes you feel terrible, but
Right.
you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy. And I find when I talk about the hub and spoke strategy, light bulbs go off. People go, "Oh,
Yeah.
I get it." Because, like I
Right.
said at the beginning, a whole lot of digital assets in isolation is expensive noise.
That's exactly right.
What you start
Bravo.
connecting things together so that there's a cohesive plan, so that the content is attracting people in, and you're using the website to originate content that you're delivering out. Um, and then people have a place to go. And ultimately, what you're looking for here is to build a relationship with customers. And
Yep.
a relationship, there are a lot of brands that are really products with names. And a brand is where there is a relationship that goes beyond the transactional and functional benefits of the product and service. And that's created through content, that's created through the website, that's created through, being there when they need you.
Yeah.
We can talk at length about the relationship marketing principles, and someday we probably should. And
I agree.
yeah,
This is, I think this is one of those step one type of
Mhm.
conversations where every business owner, if you're going to redo a website, you're looking at your marketing plan, wondering why it didn't work last year.
Right.
Here we are at the beginning of 2022. This is a great thing to hear. And if you haven't been able to wrap your head around what James talked about today, well, you should reach out to James. Hey, James, where can people find you if they want to ask more questions?
If they want to ask more questions, I would love to chat. And the very simple URL for you to use is vipchatwithjames.com. That's vipchatwithjames.com. That will send you to my Calendly. And you can book an appointment that works for you and works for me, and we'll jump on a call together. If you'd like
I
to
love it.
learn more about the hub and spoke strategy, I wrote an ebook called Journey to Success. It's about a story about John. John's a small business owner, how he discovered the hub and spoke strategy and how he used it to increase the effectiveness and efficiency of his online marketing. And you can get that ebook by going to hubandspoke.marketing. That's
Hub and spoke
hubandspoke.marketing.
marketing.
And
Outstanding.
and then read the book and reach out, and I would welcome the opportunity to help you.
Fantastic. And you also have your company site is innately.com. That's INN, the number 8, LY.com.
Yes.
So those folks that are on the podcast, you're not able to see everything on the screen because he has
Right.
it on his name there on the screen. But for those in the podcast, you can check the show notes. We'll drop all that in there so you can track him down. Well, James, I always love our conversations. I think that what you have to share, every business owner should know. And you are definitely a great person for those business owners to reach out to if they're trying to figure out a new way to make sure that their digital space is working well. So I'm honored that you joined us today. I always appreciate spending time chatting with you. So thank you for being here. We're going to wrap the show. Don't go anywhere, though. I'd love to chat with you at the end of the show here. Does that sound good?
That sounds awesome. And thank you so much, Mark. I always enjoy ePresence and the great work that you're doing for your folks.
Well, thank you so much, James. We'll talk to you in just a bit. For the rest of you folks, thanks for joining us again for another version of How's Your ePresence. How's Your ePresence is produced by ePresence. We're a full-service social media agency, and we manage personal company social media. We also offer consulting and training for organizations. By being a How's Your ePresence listener, you get a 5% discount on all of our services. And you can get that 5% discount by going to the link right there on the screen, e-pr.me/listener, e-pr.me/listener. So e-pr is short for ePresence. And our website, which I'd love for Morgan to share with you as well, is ePresence.me. That's ePresence.me because it's all about you. How's Your ePresence is everywhere. We are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter. We're even on Facebook. Wherever you're watching, please subscribe so you know when we go live. If you like a podcast, hit that. You can search for us on your podcast app. I've done this every single app there's out there. I'm constantly making sure that if you search for ePresence, that How's Your ePresence will appear as an option for you to subscribe. Please subscribe. If for some reason you cannot find us on your podcast app, go to our website at epresence.me/podcast. There it is on the screen. epresence.me/podcast will let you know where you can track us down. We list all those places there, as well as all of the video spots that we publish our content. Our producer is Morgan Wood. We appreciate all the work that she does for us here, as well as at ePresence at large. Until next time, for my guests, James Hipkin, I'm Mark Galvin. Thank you for joining us on How's Your ePresence?